Is the end near? Is the return of Christ just around the corner? I've seen that proposition on Facebook. I've had that discussion with individuals, had it recently with a couple of friends. And one of them said, in effect, when you look at all that's happening right now in our culture and around the world and politically and all that, how can you not have that discussion? How can you not see that this is the end times? I think my response surprised them a bit. My input was this: isn't that awfully arrogant on our part? Let me explain. Recently, I saw the report of an American pastor who had gone to a foreign country in order to be a Bible teacher. He went to a communist country, and so he had to go secretly. They had to meet secretly because gathering to study the Bible was illegal. And when he got to the room, they had to arrive at the hotel. Him and his interpreter and the individuals, the indigenous Christians that were coming to learn, they all had to arrive in a staggered fashion. They had to arrive randomly and go up the elevator to the room and arrive at the room in a staggered, random way so as not to create suspicion for what they were doing. But when they had gathered in the room and the room was packed and everybody sitting on the floor, they were going to be there all day in a room that was not air conditioned. He called out the Bible passage they would be studying, and to his surprise, some of them, maybe many of them, maybe most of them, set what they had as portions of scriptures, set them aside, and just put their hands in their lap to listen. And after discussion about did they not have the text, did they not have that portion of the Bible, he found out that they actually had it memorized. And they shared with them that for them the Bible was illegal. And so when they got portions of Scripture, they would memorize it as quickly as they could, because it can always be taken from here, but it can't be taken from here or from here. And what he was going to be teaching them, they had already, the text, that portion of Scripture, they already had memorized. He began asking them and found out that most of them had already been arrested once before, at least once before, for their faith. Again, here they were in a room that had no air conditioning, crowded, sitting on the floor, anticipating being there all day under the threat of arrest to learn as much as they could about the Bible. And this American pastor had to admit that he was humbled, thinking about back home, about how what others might do, American Christians might do, if the air conditioning was broken. I mean, be honest. Would you not consider staying home, perhaps watching freely online, if you knew the air conditioner in the room was broken and might be uncomfortable? He thought about the discussions about, is the music too loud, too modern, too old, too much drums, whatever. I mean, think about how we intake our Bible each and every day. For many of us, it is an app on our phone or on our tablet that gives us a verse of the day. How often is that verse a promise or a blessing, a hope from Scripture? Versus how often do we receive this as our verse of the day? These are the words of Christ, Matthew chapter 24. Verse 9, he says, "You will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me." How often, if ever, do our Bible apps give the suffering of Scripture as our verse of the day? I doubt it. It's rare, if ever. And so I asked my friends, I stated, isn't that awfully arrogant on our part? To think that under the threat of persecution, the threat of maybe losing all or part of our religious liberty. Not to say the threat's not real, but isn't it arrogant on our part that at the threat of that, we might consider this must be the end times? When there are others in other countries who are actually being persecuted for their faith and have been for years. And my final proposition to my friends was this: what if, when Christ returns, he doesn't come to America first? What if we are last on his itinerary? Just a thought. Hey, here's my hope for today. Okay? Live for Christ today. Let him fill your heart. Let him fill your mind. Let him fill your soul. Let him fill all your strength. Fill you with all joy, all love, all peace. And let God ordain what happens tomorrow. It may be religious liberty. It may be this, that we will be handed over on account of him. But let your heart be true and right with him today and then moving forward. Hey, I'm Pastor Mark. This is Everything Rhymes with Coffee, and until next time, the Lord bless you and keep you.